All right, big news for the Texans. They're going to be facing Drake Maye. Drake Maye will be starting for the New England Patriots. His first NFL start. Drake Maye will start. Soldier Boy, your thoughts?
Drake. Drake.
Stoots, your thoughts? Now this is the ultimate sleeping on the opponent vibe, and I'll be honest, I'm not a player, so if I'm sleeping on an opponent and they end up laying a typical NFL dud, I'm not taking the blame for it. But when I see that Drake Maye is starting, when I see the stat that you posted yesterday, which we'll get to in a second, which is just a perfect combo stat. I don't want to say this is a cakewalk, but I want to say, first of all, this probably is not an ideal first start for Drake Maye. And this is a game that the Texans have no excuse to lose.
I totally agree with you. This was a game that when you go through the schedule, when it comes out and you play the win-win, loss-loss game, you didn't even really think about it. You put a W next to it and you moved on. And it's become even more of a W and move on. This is a game where you go out there, you take care of your business, stay healthy, and get ready for the next week. They should not lose this football game. I understand it's the NFL. It's why we play the games. All the cliches that go with it. It's a bad football team. It was a bad football team before they started Drake Maye. It's probably a worse football team while they're starting Drake Maye. Like, it is a bad team. The Texans should take care of business, and the Patriots are disgusting for doing this to this poor kid. I mean, he is in a nearly unwinnable situation.
Yeah, right now you look at New England, their defense is playing pretty decently, actually. I mean, they're allowing 357 yards a game, which is top 10 in the NFL. There can be kind of a little bit of a gray area to that, but the stat that you threw out that I thought was the most interesting, and one of the talking points that we've really had in covering this Texans team and being on the scene, has been just how much they've pressured quarterbacks but been unable to get guys down. And you put out the stat yesterday that the Texans lead the league in pressure rate and the Patriots lead the league in allowing pressures on the offensive line, which is not the ideal combo for a rookie quarterback making his first start.
Yeah, just a quick clarifier. The Patriots are bottom 10 in defense.
Okay, but yeah, bottom 10, my fault.
Bottom 10 in defense. Yeah. Look, this is the perfect matchup for the Texans going against a rookie quarterback. Quarterback pressure allowed. The Patriots offense is number one. Quarterback pressure, Texans defense is number one. That's the whole defense, the defensive line, everything. Daniil Hunter has the most quarterback pressures in all of football. He should add to that number this weekend. It's not just like it's not like a schematic thing in New England. Their offensive line is just bad. It's playing bad. And we saw what DeMeco Ryans did to Caleb Williams in week 2, where he blitzed more than he usually did and he brought more pressure than he usually did. And it just, it made Caleb Williams' job tough. And Caleb Williams has a lot of weapons that he can get the ball to. Drake Maye doesn't have that. Drake May's got a bunch of guys you've probably never heard of playing wide receiver for him. Like, it's not like he can extend a play and make something happen to some awesome player like maybe Caleb could a time or two to DJ Moore. Like, when he extends the play, it's like, oh gosh, there's Kendrick Bourne. Cool. Hey, this is a really bad spot for the New England Patriots. It's a bad time to go to Drake Maye. I understand there's probably a conversation there about hey, we got to get to the kid. We got to get. They could have waited a week and not thrown him to this absolute just pack of wolves that is the Texans defense that's going to be breathing down his neck probably every play. This is just a horrible spot for Drake Maye and a great spot for the Texans and that Texans defense. And everybody that's worried about sacks, they're going to get some this weekend.
Minimize sacks. Sacks are important, sir.
They're going to get some this weekend.
They're ninth in scoring defense. That's my fault. They're allowing 20.4 points. Ninth in scoring defense was what I meant. The yardage, you're right. That is bottom 10.
Top 10 scoring defense, bottom 10 yardage defense.
Yeah. They're allowing 20 points a game somehow. Not quite sure how that's going down. But yeah, that's where they were at. They had the good week against Cincinnati to open, and since then it's kind of been downhill. They also have fumbling problems at running back. They don't know what they're doing there. They don't have a lot of explosiveness on the outside. It does seem like a perfect storm for that. It also kind of seems like a perfect storm for a letdown. which is really, I think, last week, I think we learned about the Texans when it came to the Bills. You learned, well, they can beat a good team when they're not bringing their, I guess they didn't bring their A game. I don't know. I think they just found a way to win. This will be, can they avoid the letdown? This is probably the next lesson that the Texans will need to learn. Can they avoid this letdown? Because we can say this, but the reality is the NFL survivor polls, all that, they don't last long for a reason. So this is kind of one of those recipes. It's just really hard for me to imagine. And the other thing is Drake May's style is such to where it feels like he's going to be a guy that's going to run into some sacks. There might be like a spectacular play or two, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities to intercept the pass. He's kind of like a poor man's Josh Allen, and by poor man I mean homeless man's Josh Allen. He is not a. I mean he's going to try to do a lot of stuff. I don't think this is a let the game come to you type of quarterback in Drake Maye. I think this is a big opportunity for Danielle Hunter, big opportunity for Will Anderson.
You mentioned the letdown, and you heard it's going to be a rookie quarterback on the road, early-ish portion of the season, coming off of a gritty victory. And I wonder, Landry, how long did it take you to at least let the Carolina Panthers game from last year cross your mind, where the Texans went on the road against a bad football team that had a rookie quarterback that was playing really bad. Now, Maye hasn't played, so it's a tiny bit different, but rookie QB on the road, and the Texans went out there and laid an egg against Carolina. How long did it take once you found out Maye was starting for that to cross your mind? Because it kind of had a split second, like it popped into my mind, and then I was like, no, they're a different football team than that point last year. But that kind of crossed my mind a little bit. Rookie QB on the road, low expectations for the opponent, and then all of a sudden it turned into a rock fight that you lost.
Well, I think it crosses everyone's mind. I think the reality of the situation is I don't think that's a unique thing. I think if you go around every schedule, like after the season, there's a game where someone says, how the hell did we lose to them? How did we lose to that team? I think it happens every time. So there's always that possibility. Right now, I think BetUS is waiting to put the line out. I've seen it at 7. I think we're gonna get the official injury report with Nico Collins, and then we'll see what it is. But the Nico Collins Joe Mixon thing would be an interesting element. And you posed the question: Texans minus Nico Collins and Joe Mixon are blank. I'll let you answer your own question first, and then I'll answer it as well. Texans. If Joe Mixon and Nico Collins can't go, the Texans minus Mixon and Collins are blank.
Hopeful, because there's nothing that's necessarily proven without those guys. They're hopeful. They're hopeful to be able to run the football. They're hopeful that they can get Diggs and Dell rolling enough in this game, but there's not a lot of proven elements to what the Texans are going to put on the field Sunday if they don't have Joe Mixon and Nico Collins. You could survive without Joe Mixon a little bit. I don't know what survival looks like without Mixon and without Nico Collins. So I would say that they're hopeful with their offense without those two players.
I would say they're flawed, but better than the Patriots. That's what I would say. I would say they're flawed, but better than the Patriots. We don't believe they can run the ball without Mixon, and we don't know what they can do without Nico Collins in the pass game. So I would say that's what I would say. I would say they're flawed, but better than the Patriots.
Does it feel? And if I'm reaching, you just tell me I'm reaching. Yeah, I've done it before. Does it feel like a little 2019-esque where it's like Deshaun Watson just fixes a lot of things? He's got a little bit of weaponry. I mean, Hopkins was really good still, but there wasn't anybody awesome behind Hopkins. So let's just call Diggs the Hopkins mold. Will Fuller was the other guy in 2019. They couldn't really run the football. The running back choices were uninspiring. And then sometimes Deshaun Watson just kind of figured it out. I do wonder if there's going to be an element of just CJ Stroud just kind of figured it out. I do wonder if there's a little bit of that to this week.
Yeah, I could see CJ Stroud being called upon to save all butts. I hope there's a little bit more of a schematic
Structure.
assistance. Yeah, that's what I would hope. But you never know. Street Runner Society on the Super.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
87 watching, 10 likes. Get those likes up. Get them up. Actually, we're actually 200 deep now. It's a simulcast, so it's a combo. We're 200 deep.
Hit the like over on
Perfect.
Landry's channel. Hit the like over on my channel. Subscribe to each of them.
Yeah,
You don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, you won't hurt my feelings. But yeah, definitely something that we're going to keep an eye on at practice with Nico and them.
So with the structure, you know, the schematic support that maybe you're asking for, what you're telling me is it's a Bobby week. Let's see what Bobby's got. Let's see what offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick can bring to the table.
Yeah, and it could. I mean, you know, how are you going to use Tank? You have to now. It's not a luxury. How are you going to use Tank? How's that going to go? How are you going to use the running backs? And you asked this question. And by the way, speaking of running backs, whatever, tight ends, whatever you want to call them, British Brooks done for the season. Kind of warned you yesterday. But yeah, British Brooks done for the season. He is one of those guys who was a feel-good story in camp. He's going to have to try to bounce back next season. His football path has been crazy, but British Brooks done for the season. You asked this, what's the running back rotation if Pierce is healthy? I like this question. Now, we're assuming that Mixon is out, right? Or are we assuming Mixon is in?
I just believe the way that DeMeco Ryan's
just in this hypothetical world.
Yeah, I would tell you that Mixon's out, and I want to know what you do
in
with
this
the running
hypothetical.
backs.
You're not saying he's out in this hypothetical.
Correct. In this hypothetical, we'll know more at practice today, this afternoon. So follow Landry on Twitter, follow myself on Twitter. But in this hypothetical, Joe Mixon's out, Dameon Pierce is healthy. What do you do at the running back position? Is what I want to know.
I would use Akers, then Pierce, then Dare. That would be my thing. I would think Akers. I would give Akers the most carries, and then I would mix in Pierce every once in a while, with Dare probably playing a lot and still being a threat out of the backfield. I think that Akers is a better runner than Dameon Pierce. I think they're going to give Dameon Pierce some carries just because nothing has worked, so they're trying everything possible without Joe Mixon, but I believe that Akers is a better runner than Pierce and Dare Gumbawale.
The body of work in this system this year, preseason, training camp, Akers was better. I mean, and he's had regular season reps. I would ease Pierce in. I'm with you, though. Nothing has worked. Throw Pierce against the wall, see if it sticks a couple of times. But those would be the three guys if Pierce is healthy, because I can't imagine they're going to elevate JJ. I mean, they're going to sign JJ Taylor. They can't elevate him anymore. They've used all his practice squad elevations. So I can't imagine he's getting signed. So I would tell you, Pierce healthy, get him in the mix. They didn't even use JJ Taylor last week, but get Pierce in the mix, see if it's better. And if it's better, okay, ride the hot hand. But I wouldn't just turn this thing over to Dameon Pierce like he's filling in for Joe Mixon just because he was 2 on the depth chart to begin this season. I'm with you. Akers has done enough. Obviously, Dare Gumbawale plays on third downs, passing downs, but I wouldn't just turn this wholesale thing over to Dameon Pearson and hope that he recaptures some of that rookie year glory. That hadn't been showcased since the rookie year. So put him in the rotation, see how it works out that way. Still use Akers, still use Gumbawale.
Yeah, it's a very...
It would be such a foolish endeavor to hand a Joe Mixon workload to Dameon Pierce coming off an injury.
That would be that. I mean, what are you talking about? 20 carries? What are you saying?
That would be a foolish approach.
Okay. I mean, it would be a desperate approach where they just don't think that anything is going to work. But they just have a very uninspiring committee, even with Mixon. It's a very uninspiring running back committee.
Uninspiring committee sounds like a band name.
It's what they are. Uninspiring committee.
Uninspiring committee.
I threw this out yesterday on the night stream, 10:30 night stream, a lot looser, 10:30 to 11:30, live in the locker room. We're always on the scene. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots, S&L, Monday through Friday. The schedule kind of needs to be looked at a little bit differently because there's kind of an East Feast vibe going on. Because when you looked at the schedule and you said, man, this is a difficult schedule, A lot of it probably had to do with the fact that they were playing the AFC East. Like the AFC East looked, I mean, it looked pretty damn good. Miami, Buffalo, you didn't know what you were going to get from them. And then those were the two teams that you were arguing about. And then the Jets were supposed to be
taken off.
Perhaps. And then you had the Patriots. So now that you look at the AFC East and you look at the Texans schedule, you've already beaten Buffalo. If you beat a rookie quarterback in New England, you're halfway home. You got Miami in December. They're beat up. We don't know what their identity is. Oh, by the way, you're going to be coming off a bye week, and you're going to be facing the Jets without a coach. And that could go a number of ways. So really, like when you reevaluate the Texans schedule, it's still difficult. Obviously, it's the first place schedule, but you have a chance to kind of feast on the East, and it's kind of setting up nicely for you. And you also don't have to go to New York when it's too late in the season. That's just me. Maybe that's me personally, but we did see it last year. Like, dude, it sucks when it's freezing there. I don't think it's going to be like warm on Halloween, but it sucks when it's freezing there. You avoid that.
Yeah, before we get there, I'll make sure to check the Farmer's Almanac and see what the expected weather is. But yeah, you don't catch it in November, December, where the field plays like a parking lot. You know, at least there'll be some element of a football field there on October 31st. And then look, that Dolphins team, that could be a whole 55-gallon drum of quit by the time they get to that portion of the schedule.
For sure.
So, you know, if you go 4-0 against one of your opposing divisions on the course of your schedule, you're going to set yourself up really nice in the playoff seeding. If you can just rattle off a 4-0 against one of your opposing divisions, and you've certainly got that potential. Check one box. You got Drake Maye and the Patriots this week for box number 2. Later this month, in the 5-game month, you've got the Jets, and then whatever that Dolphins team is. Tough to figure out the Dolphins, because I would guess as soon as Tua can play, he's going to play again. But what kind of team are they going to be by then?
He sucked before he got hurt. Like, he kind of got he was a joke. I mean, he was the joke on the internet, the way he was performing in that game. I mean, I'm glad he's wanting to play and everything like that, but he wasn't looking great. So we'll see what that looks like. It's just a big opportunity to feast on the East. At the very least, whatever you want to say about the Jets and what they would have been, they're a potential disaster. On how you lose a couple games with Soligon, and then all of a sudden the heat's increasing on Aaron Rodgers. And oh, by the way, he's not the old Aaron Rodgers, so there's no relax. Like, we're not going to hear relax too much. It's a big opportunity for the East. The other thing is this. I want to put this kind of in perspective. If the Texans are able to win this game against the Patriots, could I interest you in kind of a stat?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of kind of a stat.
Well, if the Texans win this game against the Patriots, they're going to be 5-1.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct.
So based on that, they would be able to finish the season 500 at 5-6, and they would match their win total last year.
Ooh.
So if you beat a team that you're supposed to beat, that you're expected to beat in the Patriots, then you can finish the season 5-6 and you match your win total. Now, obviously, you have 4 games against division opponents who you expect to rough up. So that would be good, but you will be able to go 5-6.
I would tell you that you start the way you laid it out, and then you go 5-6. That'd be a little disappointing, wouldn't it? It'd be a lot disappointing, I think.
Yeah, but that's still good, right?
Is that good enough to win the division? Probably, right?
I would think so. I mean, I would think. I mean, and 4 of those games are division opponents. So, I mean, depending on how well you think they're going to do in the division, you would have that as well.
Like, I mean, getting to 10 wins probably feels like that's enough to win this division. The way that Jacksonville and Indianapolis and Tennessee have been playing. Obviously, you have higher aspirations than just win the division. If you're the Texans, you want to get into the mix.
Well, things have changed a little bit.
I don't see why they wouldn't have when you beat Buffalo and you start the way you start. You have to win the division to be in the mix in the AFC seeding. So, 5-6 to finish you wouldn't be worried about seeding. You'd be worried about hanging on to the division. Somebody be nipping at your heels.
Yeah, no doubt. 100% no doubt. So what are we looking for in practice today? And yes, I am blurry right now. I don't know what's going on. Might be fogging up a little bit.
Do this. Take your hand and close the camera and then pull it back slow and it'll focus. Now pull it back slow toward your face and it should focus.
Boom. Look at that guy. It's an
Look
IT
at that.
guy right there.
IT on the fly.
IT pro on the fly. All right. Yeah, I move around too much, too jittery. You are not having a stroke, H-Town fan. You're good. You're strokeless. But yeah, like, what are you looking for in practice today? Obviously, we don't anticipate Nico's going to be practicing. We're obviously going to be looking for Mixon, although I don't know that it's too intense. And then we're going to be looking for other guys that appear on the injury report. I don't think we see Jimmy Ward.
Yeah, so the class that take attendance alphabetically, I take it numerically. So 12 not there, probably not going to be there. 28, Joe Mixon, I would say probably not going to go, but if he's there, big boost. And then you start going down the list. Okay, 20 there. You check all the offensive linemen. Damian Pierce, like if he's going to be in the running back rotation, he's going to practice. Well, we thought the same thing about Joe Mixon after he had a Friday practice and he hadn't practiced since.
Yeah, but Damian Pierce was practicing and then he was doing like full speed hoops in the locker room. Like I think Damian Pierce is going to be good to go.
That's true.
Yeah.
So because they are set to sign Tegan Quintiriano, which I know you're very excited about, I do wonder if
you can't stop Quintiriano.
You can't stop Quintiriano.
You can only hope to contain it.
I do wonder if that's I'm going to be looking for Stover and Schultz and see if either one of those guys are dinged up here. I know that he's probably here to just assist on special teams and he happens to be a tight end. But if Stover or Schultz aren't there, then right away Quintiriano's in the mix at tight end because they'll use both tight ends over the course of a game. So you get him off the practice squad of Chicago, right back onto the field with an opportunity here. So we'll see about that because if it was just simply like British Brooks is headed to IR, like if it was just simply bring up a special teams player, like they've got special teams specific guys already on the practice squad. So, paying a little bit of attention to that. And then they're set to sign Kadar Holman from the Ravens practice squad who plays corner. So then you're looking to make sure all the corners are there too.
Yeah, the Quintiriano I think would have been necessary no matter what. Like if you can do it. I mean, especially with British Brooks out, and he was kind of your third tight end essentially. I think the Quintiriano thing just kind of makes sense now. He just can't stay healthy. Bless his heart, he just cannot stay healthy at all. But I think Quintiriano will be fine. I mean,
it's
who scores a touchdown first, Quintiriano or Stover?
Stover.
Okay.
Stover. I do wonder if there's a couple more moving parts because Stover healthy, Schultz healthy, Quintiriano on the that's 3 tight ends. Then you have 2 tight ends on the practice squad. Like, do you need 5 tight ends in the building? Like, reshuffle that practice squad a little bit.
Christopher Charles has a question. Are y'all doing this show Monday through Friday? I always catch the Monday show, but don't know the timeline for the rest. Yeah, Monday, 8 to 10 is Reaction Monday. Tuesday through Thursday is at 9 a.m. And then the final injury report drops at around 3-ish on Friday. So it would be a waste of time for us to do a show at 9 because it would be dated and we would be speculating and we wouldn't have closure. We usually get the closure. So we do it at 4 o'clock on Fridays. So 8, then 9 times 3, and then 4. 8, 9, 4. Throwback 9. Troy Aikman. Throwback Dan Marley. And a throwback Charles Barkley. Rockets edition.
Okay, I thought you were gonna give me 3 9s because you're the jersey number guy, but
9s.
Yeah,
Dan Marley, Tony Romo. Damn,
I don't feel like there's another like super famous 9.
Mike Madonna. Dan Marley, Tony Romo, Mike Madonna. I went hockey on you.
Yeah, hockey. Wow, geez. Yeah. Okay,
mix it up a little bit.
8 a.m., 9 a.m., 9 a.m., 9 a.m., 4 p.m. Boom.
Yep. So there you go. That's Let's go. I must Pandaline. Y'all should just do 8 a.m. every morning, then 4 on Friday. How about not?
I mean, there's content outside of the 9 a.m. Thursday that'll tide you over till 4 p.m. Friday, right?
Yeah.
If the people want more, I mean, we could work on doing some more, but
Thrill Ben spoke. Do we have to get used to the Texans not giving out real injury info? Feels like they do it and try to get an advantage, but it sucks as greedy fans. The answer would probably be yes to that. Right?
yeah, I mean, DeMeco Ryans doesn't like talk about injuries, and he doesn't give you much.
Yeah, I would say no. Yeah.
Pandaline. Suggestion for uniformity. Hey, we appreciate whenever you watch, however you watch.
Hey, I
and also,
appreciate you.
and also you can catch if you missed the live stream here on video, you can always catch it on podcast as well.
Yeah, I've thought about having Reaction Monday later. That's been my my thing, but who knows? 10:30 p.m. at night though. That's when it really goes down. These folks know what goes on there. Buffalo versus the Jets. What are we rooting for here? Are we rooting for the Jets to just hit rock bottom at this point? Is that what we're rooting for? Because right now you look at the Bills, and this is localized. Let's talk about this. That's going to conclude the Week 6 action. It is going to be the Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, on one hand, you say you would have, assuming that you take care of business against the Patriots, which can be a dangerous assumption or not. If the Jets just rally around this interim coach and they go out there and they beat the Bills on Monday Night Football, then you're 2 games up on the Bills. Would you rather that happen, or would you rather the Jets just collapse and it be an absolute dumpster fire and get them out of the way? You got to root for the Jets, right? Now, that would mean that perhaps your game on Halloween is more difficult if they're able to do what you did and beat the Bills. But what are we rooting for through the localized lenses?
So the likelihood of Buffalo going on a run and being a factor in the AFC standings at the end of the year is higher than that of the Jets doing that. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, you'd love for the Jets to add another loss to the Buffalo. Like the Jets can have, to use a stock market term, the Jets can have a dead cat bounce this week where they've played poorly. They get a little bit of a boost where it bounces, and then they go back to just being bad. Like they could do that for one game and then just go back to stinking for a couple of weeks until the Texans show up for the matchup on Halloween. So I suppose I'm rooting for the Jets on Monday Night Football because you want Buffalo to take as many arrows over the course of the season as you can to keep them out of the AFC seeding equation, because you're already fighting Kansas City, and I would tell you Baltimore is the likely winner of the AFC North. You're already fighting those two for AFC seeding when it's all said and done here in the regular season. So you don't want Buffalo hanging around. You want them to be out of the equation.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that would be in the best interest, getting the 2-game lead on Buffalo, because you avoid December, and then who knows what happens with the Jets. That's going to be a roller coaster. I don't know anything about this interim coach. I don't know anything about what they got going on at all, even a little bit. So that's just kind of something to keep an eye on. I think it'll be interesting to see. Anything else at practice? Really, not really. We're going to hear from CJ. CJ, by the way, had some really good things to say about Drake Maye. He said that he was the most NFL ready quarterback during his draft cast. So he's spoken very highly of Drake Maye. You can go back, just type in Drake Maye, CJ Stroud Twitter. You can see it for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he had some high praise for Drake Maye.
Very high. Said he was the most NFL ready guy. And he's friends with Daniels.
Talks to Jane Daniels every week is what he told McAfee.
Yeah, they're buddies. And he still said Drake Maye. Maybe it was a little bit of a slug. Who knows?
NFL, I mean, it doesn't matter how NFL ready he is. Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter and Mario Edwards are going to be ripping his head off on Sunday.
All right, we appreciate y'all for coming through. It is time for practice. Again, Drake Maye starting against the Texans. We're keeping an eye on Nico Collins, Mixon, and others as practice begins today. We'll be back at it tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon.
All right.